Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of St. Louis. My name is Annette Peterson. My pronouns are she, hers, and I am a member of the worship committee. We are glad you could join us this Sunday, either in person or online. If you are a visitor or newcomer, we extend a special welcome. And if you are new to our congregation, be sure to fill out a newcomer form found in the live stream description or in the lobby of the church. After services, please come downstairs in Fellowship Hall for coffee and donuts. We welcome families with children. Families with children are invited to connect with the RE committee after the service for more information about our RE program. If you're attending online, you can connect with each other in the chat, and don't forget that the link for virtual coffee hour can be found in your weekly e-news. There are several announcements this morning. Grief Circle will meet tomorrow at 11 a.m. Women's Alliance will meet this Tuesday, and the Social Class, Classism, and UU series begins this Tuesday evening. Please see the e-news for details. Please join us next Sunday, February 16th, following the service, for a send-off for Mike and Adam Lunter in gratitude for their time here at First UU. The Unfish Fry is coming, March 21st, 5:30 to 7. Your help is needed. See the e-news for details. Sunday, February 23rd at 11:30 a.m., you can ask the experts your investing questions during a discussion on impact investing. Again, see the e-news for details. Tabernacle CDC requires sign-up once per year for volunteers. See the e-news for more information. Lastly, an announcement just for children and youth. We have included a secret word that you may hear during the service. If someone says the word grace, indicate you heard the word by touching your nose with your right hand and waving your left hand. Grace. Shall we practice? Grace. You got it. Okay. Otherwise, the children and youth will stay through the story for all ages and then proceed to class. Now, please center yourself in preparation for worship. Welcome to this religious community where we affirm the worth and dignity of all who enter. We gather in community, understanding we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, identity, and theology. Our values invite us to a shared journey of truth and meaning-making. Together, we foster a spirit of gratitude and generosity so that all may feel welcome and all can thrive. We are glad you are with us this morning. Please enjoy our prelude in the Garden of Eden by Doug Engel, performed by Alan Hoffman.
Welcome to February's Lay Leader Worship Service. I am Steve Wilke, he, him, his, and I am a member of the worship. Reverend Trupia is in Iowa leading a service, likely wowing them as much as they have been wowing Miami. Mo, you guys can't see this, but he's zooming the camera in. We have the place to ourselves. Which might have explained the music, who knows? So I know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to have a thoughtful discussion about volunteering at the church as a spiritual practice that you're going to hear a lot from. His name is Eric Walker Wickstrom, and his book is called Serving with Grace. Lay leadership is a spiritual, but is an integral part of the mission of the church to spiritually nurture us. What if lay leadership were not a means to an end, but an end to itself? Imagine church not as a place led by a few overly taxed people, but one where leadership is broadly shared ministry that members of the community undertake for the deep joy of it. Now please rise as you are able and join us for our hymn of the month. Come, whoever you are, and I think Kim is going to come up and help us with the round.
Member of the choir, and I've been deputized to explain what we're going to do. We're going to sing Come, Wherever You Are, which is a round, and Alan will play a little intro, then we'll all sing it once together, and then, which side? That side? This side starts the round, and then that side, and we sing the round through. They start, okay. You guys start.
Our chalice lighting comes from Eric Walker Winstrom from the same book Steve quoted, Serving with Grace, Lay Leadership as a Spiritual Practice. Look for opportunities to learn more about the other people who serve with you on your board or committee. Look for opportunities to learn more about yourself. The assumption that we've been through this 100 times is really just an illusion. This conversation, even if it resembles others you've been involved in incredibly closely, is always a unique experience. And unique experiences are expected, almost always makes us more alive. And so, as we come here for the 100th or 1,000th time to worship, to light this chalice again for the first time.
Grace. Yeah, the kids aren't paying attention. I tried. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's time for the story of all ages. Anyone who is young in spirit can come up to the kids, because I'm actually talking to you now, so put your stuff down. Do you know this story? Everyone knows the story, right? Okay. Turn it.
Listen, I've got to leave for a while. So can you watch things for me until I get back? Thanks. Oh, and remember, don't let the pigeon drive the bus.
Leave. Turn it. Turn it. Please. Please. This is interactive, you guys say no. Here. My cousin Herb drives a bus almost every day. True story. Vroom, vroom. Get to do anything. Hey, I got an idea. Let's play Drive the Bus. I'll go first. I'll be your best friend. How about I give you $5? No fair. I bet your mom would let me. The bus. I have dreams, you know. Fine.
Bye.
Hey.
As you can see in your order of service, my name is Margaret Weck, she, her, hers. As you probably know, if you've been here for any length of time, I have held many positions of leadership within this congregation, up to already receiving the Ross Award. When I joined this church in 1992, I was already a lifelong Unitarian Universalist looking for a church home. It was not with any intention of becoming board president even once, let alone twice, or taking any leadership role. I started attending worship services on a regular basis to volunteer opportunities. I started out small, helping to prepare food for Trinity's Sunday hot lunch. I went to a social responsibility committee meeting to see what that was about. It's now called the Social Justice Committee. Remember, this was 92. At that time, it was chaired by Rennie Shooter. Rennie.
With many joys and concerns remaining unspoken in our hearts and minds, please join me in a spirit of prayer and mindful attention. The prayer today comes from Serving with Grace, Lay Leadership as a Spiritual Practice by Eric Walker Wickstrom. If we update the language a little for our modern sensibilities, the metaphysical poet John Donne's famous line sounds like this: "No one is an island entire of itself. Every person is a piece of the continent, a part of the main." Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. put the same idea like this: "We are tied in a single garment of destiny." The Vietnamese Buddhist monk, poet, and peace activist Thich Nhat Hanh simply said, "We enter are." In the Christian tradition, St. Paul uses a wonderful analogy. The church, he says, is like a body. Just as the body is made up of different parts, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, hands, feet, etc., so too is the body of Christ, or the body of the church. Some 12-step meetings end in a circle, with each person in turn taking the hand of the person next to them, saying, "I put my hand in yours so that we may do together what we cannot do alone." The fact that there are people on your task force or working group or here in your congregation who are not like you is a great gift. And so, I ask you to look at the people around you. Go ahead and do it. Look at them. It doesn't need to be awkward. You can smile and wave, but look at all the unique, beautiful people around you. And now, I invite you to turn to someone and say, "I'm glad we are different." I'm glad we are different. Mm-hmm. And now turn to someone and say, "Thank you for sharing your unique gifts." Thank you for sharing your unique gifts. Now turn to someone and say, "I need you and you need me." I need you and you need me. Mm-hmm. And now turn to someone and say, "We are stronger together." We are stronger together. And now turn to someone and seal these sacred words with a fist bump. Amen. May it be so, and blessed be.
Hi, everybody. My name's Kathy Wire. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm going to abbreviate my biography because if you just kind of took Margaret's and assumed it applies here, that's pretty much true. I'm going to start with two basic assumptions. One is that leadership looks different for different people, and the other is that spirituality looks different for different people. And one of the neat things about our church is it doesn't define that for us. I tried to find helpful definitions of these terms to talk about, and I couldn't. I got nowhere with that, so you'll just have to find your own definitions. Hopefully I can help with that. And I'm going to have to tell you about my own experience. I'm going to start with spirituality. Why did you first come here? What kept you here? What do you want to see here tomorrow? And what do you feel inside after a really good service? That probably starts you on your path to defining spirituality. Likewise, leadership takes many forms, but you're only going to be good at it if you find your own style. Some of us are Dwight Eisenhower, others are Jimmy Carter, Pope Francis, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King Jr., or Liz Cheney. Obviously, church roles carry less drama than these leaders encountered, most of the time. But there's a place in the church for all of these styles, and when we're lucky, the right person is in the right place at the right time, with support from a complementary team. I think the exercise we just went through shows, we're all different and we all have to appreciate the value we bring to each other. None of us can ever do it alone. And the conclusion I came to as I was preparing this is that collaborative work with shared values is a gift. And that's kind of what it's all about. Now about me. My professional work for many years required me to compartmentalize my emotions. I've always been good at that because as a dutiful oldest daughter, I tarried on doing what was expected of me and not letting my emotional responses get in the way. We were the ones that just got it done. And as a confirmed ENTJ, if you're familiar with Myers-Briggs, I could see the logic, I could work around the emotions, both mine and others. And when I started attending church around 1998, so I followed Margaret by a bit, I found that I could open the floodgates for 15 or 20 minutes on Sunday, releasing the energy for my own pent-up reactions and absorbing wisdom to guide me in the hard choices that I faced for the next week. Now, I'm going to confess here, and some of you have probably experienced this, you'll often see me crying in church. Don't worry, I'm fine. It's just my weekly processing of all those feelings that kind of build up, and now's the time to work with it. Church has been a safe space for me to drop a couple of letters from my Myers-Briggs identity for a while. See you later, TNJ. And to restock my supply of ethics and values for the hard week ahead. Another result of my responsible oldest daughter status, I know that nothing of value can exist for long without support and protection. And boy, are we seeing that right now in Washington, right? If we love it, if we care about it, we have to support it. And there has to be an appropriate structure that exists for all that work to do, the framework for it. So families have traditions and roles, and church does too. In church, working on the bylaws helps to define how we relate to each other and how we make decisions. We operationalize those bylaws, how some corporate speak there, through board and committee work that keeps the church going through hard times and easy ones. Our collaboration brings friendship and understanding of each other. I've had the extreme honor of leading this congregation through 2 challenging interim periods. In every instance, we pulled together and came out on the other side, and every time that happened, it had really deep spiritual meaning for me. Our last search committee called me into their meeting to share the hard news that they didn't have a candidate from the first round of search. In that moment, I could feel all the energy they had brought to the task, their dedication to the congregation, and their commitment to our church values. And all of us could feel our trust in one another. All of those feelings extended throughout the congregation, too, once the right people and we were going to do this together. In that moment, spirituality and leadership merged. As we all that this place replenishes me, and it needs me. Every contribution of time and energy ties back to all that work Margaret talked about. And it matters so much to the church, but it also matters to them. People do that stuff because they care about it. Worship, finance, facilities, has a role in supporting and developing our spiritual life. But the leaders, the cluster leaders, define and amplify those roles for all those other folks. So everybody has a place. And as a board member, you help to choose the broader direction for the congregation, how First Unitarian will live its values. And while the work is tedious sometimes, it should always relate to that spiritual component. As our celebrate the holiday, each in their own way, but better because the decorations were in place. And here's a note for any of you that sit near me on Christmas Eve. I really cry in church on Christmas Eve and croak my way through Silent Night. We can't have these moments without strong leaders. And for the leaders, it's all about the moments.
The First Unitarian Church of St. Louis strives to be a welcoming congregation, inspiring lives of loving kindness and integrity by nurturing spirituality, building community, and advancing justice. Your contributions support the mission and ministry of this congregation in the St. Louis region and beyond. This morning's offering will now be received.
Thank you, Amelia. I guess shared responsibility, shared failure? No, I don't know. But I also try to get people out of their comfort zone, which is why you had Alan playing rock and or roll this morning. And Amelia making her solo debut and hopefully the first of their granddaughter duo here for the last hymn, so just be aware of that. I'm extremely thankful to everyone that allows me to do my shenanigans. So I wanted to say thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sue, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. So, I haven't told many people this story about when I first started coming to church here when I was pregnant. I was planning a home birth with Dr. Duhart, who some of you might know. He helped many women in the St. Louis area have a home birth. And I was having a difficult time because I was in a situation that was verbally abusive. So it was very difficult, and I was obviously feeling very down at what was one of the most vulnerable times of my adult life. So Dr. Duhart, when I went and talked to him, surprised me and said, well, why don't you join a church? It was not something I had thought of. I had been raised on the liberal side of UCC, you know, Unitarians considering Christ. But I had grown away from the church because I had learned about Buddhism in college. And a church that referred to the Father, the Son, over and over again as male did not really ring true to me anymore. So yes, I had rejected the patriarchy. I heard about First Unitarian from an ex who lived in the apartments right on the other side of the parking lot. When I got here, I was happy to find out that I actually believed what the minister was saying. Huge shock. She was a woman with a powerful message that resonated deep in my heart. I was welcomed at coffee hour by the first people I met, but I did feel awkward at first, going to a coffee hour with so many people who I didn't really know. Which is why now I always try and speak to new people when I meet them here. I met Miss Augie when my child was in the nursery, and she became a good friend here too. And I went on to love the supportive atmosphere here more and more. So whenever anybody has ever come to me asking for my help here at church, I've been happy to stand up and fill that role. I was a religious education teacher. I was on the RE committee. I am one of the founding members of ERDA, our earth-based spirituality group. I was on the board and served as president as well. And as many of you probably know, while attending various fish fries around St. Louis, I came up with the idea of hosting an all-vegetarian and vegan version of a fish fry here without any fish. The reason I thought this would be great for the church is it gives everybody kind of like an entry-level opportunity to get involved and volunteer, and also is a great opportunity for members of the community to come into the church and experience our church in a low-key way. It's also somewhat of a fundraiser as well. And the earth is part of our principles, and I love even more that we are a non-creedal, improv Christmas pageant. Thank you, Mr. Steve. My sister died unexpectedly this summer. She was an alcoholic and slipped out of recovery and died grieving. The members of the Makers Ministry helped, though. They gave me a beautiful hand-knitted blanket shortly after my thing, and they gave me something to wrap myself in literally woven with caring to help get me through my grief. I can't tell you how much that meant to me. So that's why I have always volunteered. I'm so happy to be here now with a large group of like. Amen and blessed be.
Thank you, Sue. I have to follow that. So when I was in church leadership, I started the year asking the same two basic questions, and it sounds like it's the same questions that a lot of the speakers talked about today. Why do we come to church, and why do we Catholics? And certainly it wasn't for some kind of lust of power, right? The power of the church. I don't think that's what we do here. For years, I was asking that question, and even just all through leadership, I was never really able to answer that question. We then began preparing for this worship service, and if anyone knows when you ask him for help, what she does is she gives you a book assignment. So she gave me a book to read, and I read the whole introduction. No, I read it. But the part of the book that I thought was so interesting is what it said, is that the reason that people come to church is to be transformed. You heard from three wonderful leaders of our church to speak, was talk about how serving in leadership can also be a spiritual practice. I also knew that they would tell you why they kept saying yes, because in the end, that's what this is about, right? Why do we? But hearing from the three most volunteering members also sheds light on a problem that our church has, as well as many other churches. Congregations and nonprofits suffer from something that is known as the 80-20 problem. Have you heard of this? 10% of the people do 90% of the work. Likely going to say yes. But it can also be self-limiting. At some point, burn like second and third jobs rather than a place for spiritual growth. So as a member of the asking the question, why don't they volunteer? The first thing that we often hear, and it certainly was the reason why I didn't volunteer when I first came here, was thinking no experience at all. When I joined the Unfish Fry crew, I knew how to cook falafel, vegetarian chili. Am I making you hungry? No? Okay. I was eager to learn, and now I'm able to not just make really good food, but also how to transform the church into what is basic. All it takes is wanting to be part of something, and literally anyone can do it. And as you know, the Unfish Fry has been a fabulous success, and the volunteering of it hasn't been great. Last year, so I was thinking about this, we actually went home at a normal hour, right? It used to be like midnight, and we were actually like, wow, it's 10 o'clock. We could actually do something after this. But the reason that was true is we had so many people that were volunteering, willing to say a whole lot of it. So for everyone in the church, new and longtime members, young and old, those with kids, those without, I challenge you, find something the church does or could do and volunteer for it. And if you are the only one volunteering, find a friend. Find 2 or more friends. Have them join you. The best part of volunteering at the church is working together on a joint project. And if everyone is pulling in the same direction, it is simply more fun. The second, find a third who can help, who can learn what you are doing so that if you want to step back, they can take over and that situation does not go away. You probably have noticed we're not doing hanging of the greens right now. The reason why is that no one stepped up to do it. And the good news is there's a binder. And I was told today it's not who I thought it was. It's Jane Holkeman, because Jane Holkeman is amazing. She made the binder. She actually set it up and said, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do. All you have to do is show up and we can do this again. It just takes people to do it. And as a result, we can make the church in Christmas what it should be. You also can just make up something completely different. I remember a few years ago, someone decided to do this, and you can do it. Those acts with the church are absolutely transforming. So now let's talk about it. I promised our current board president, Chuck Eby, and let's be real, who I really promised was Lisa Ross, that I would find his replacement and he would only have to do that for a year. Somebody also made a similar promise to Larry Dusenberry, who is our current vice president. For those of you who don't know, the way that we find leadership in our church is through the nominations committee. I am currently the chair of find members because you actually do have to go up and ask people to do things. But I did also tell you, would announce the open slots at the midwinter meeting and then tell everyone who would be interested, hey, just contact us, right? Yeah, we'll be here, we'll be sitting here, just tell us. Yeah, that never works. Basically, well, I say that. It works in some ways, right? We get to see the service today. They were all first-time comers, at least for these last couple years. So ideally, what we would have is a president and then a vice president who is learning on the job and then is able to take on the presidency the following year, and then we have a vice president that comes in, and it just kind of keeps going through that 2-year cycle. It's the way that our canvas works, and I think that's actually worked pretty well. Aaron, what do you think? That's worked pretty well for you? Emily says yes. Okay, good. Ideally, that would be the way that we could do the board, but in some ways, we need to figure out a way to reach the 90%. We get a lot of no's. I'm not good at no, I'll be honest, but I'm getting better at it. So let me just give you an example. Hey, Dan Wilke, do you want to be the president of the board? No. I'm getting better. And seriously, the committee also wants people to tell them no. Do you think it was weird that we read the Pigeon book? I do hope everyone we reach out to will consider what we say, but if you know in your heart of hearts it is not the right time, I want you to be free to say no. A sacred UU tradition, although I usually circle back, but some of our best leads come from not members themselves, but their friends who tell us that who would also make good leaders. So if you know anybody, okay. So I did not volunteer to join the board. I was put forward as a candidate by Gene Rubin, who would only join the board if I did. And in the background, Melanie Fathman was like pulling the strings. A new experience within the church and actually learn about how it functioned. I had been here for 40 years, but 18 years of it as a child, and the rest of the time as an RE parent. And when I did come back, it was mostly as a spectator to the goings-on and as a teacher of RE, which, by the way, anyone that can be an RE teacher, we need help. Those are fantastic jobs. They're so much fun, and you will get so much out of it. Of course, Caitlin's not here to hear that, but tell her I told her. It's true, not necessarily going to different events. COVID then hit, and so for the next 2 years, we were filled with lots of Zoom meetings and not a lot of fun activities. After 2 years on the board, the nominations committee was looking for a leadership team, and I agreed to serve as vice president for Gene Rubin, with the understanding that I would be the president the following year. You can thank Andrea Barron for asking me, and if I did anything wrong as vice president, you can also blame her. Gene was a fantastic mentor. He met with me on a weekly basis, talking me through every decision that was made. It was a fantastic experience, and as I said this numerous times, but I am forever grateful for the opportunity he gave me. And if you didn't like my presidency, you can also blame him. It is all his fault. I'm not going to blame children in sports, and knowing how to teach a 10-year-old how to bunt did not help me when we were trying to fund a new roof. Ultimately, I learned so much, not just about the church, but also myself and others, but I probably would have never actually known had I not put myself out there. Little known fact, I am shy. No one believes this, but it's true. So glad I got out of my comfort zone, and I'm a better person for it. If we go to church to be transformed, being president transformed me. And that would have not happened had I not jumped. Like the unfished fry, I started small, on the ground floor, and worked my way up. I would like this year to be the one where we change how we do nominate new people to start reaping the rewards of volunteering for the church. Our new volunteers will get so much out of it, and volunteer. You will be glad you did. Come on, pigeons, help us drive the bus. Our closing hymn is If You Want to Sing Out, Sing Out. And I guess I've been told that not everybody knows this. I guess you guys were raised by a bunch of hippies, but I was. But my father and daughter, Erin, are going to play you through it, and it's very simple. If you go back
do our best. We can't see the words, so I'm hoping he's got the words. All right, Mo. We're going to try. We will first want to see the words. All right. Well, anyway.
We leave you with the Beatitudes for Church Leaders by Tess Bomberger. Blessed are those who arrive early and open the church doors, that much may be opened for them.
Blessed are the greeters and all who practice hospitality, that they find kind welcome wherever they go.
Blessed are those who nurture and guide our children and youth, that they in turn be nurtured and guided.
Blessed are those who plan and lead worship, that they deepen spirituality.
Blessed are all who bring art and music to our church life, that they live in harmony and beauty.
Blessed are the AV specialists, that they find meaningful connection.
Blessed are those who manage finances and pay the bills, they shall be called stewards of the church.
Blessed are the coffee makers and food sharers, that they be nourished.
Blessed are our elected leaders, that they find practice and wisdom.
Blessed are committee members, that their time and devotion be rewarded.
Blessed are those who lead small groups, that their kindness be returned.
Blessed are those who care for people in need, that their own needs be met.
Blessed are those who work towards justice, the fairness may one day flourish.
Blessed are those who care for our buildings, that they shall find good shelter.
Blessed are those who come to services on Sundays and who contribute to the church in a myriad of other ways, that they find fulfillment.
Blessed are those who make sure the church is safe, that they be secure all the days of their lives.
All right, priests, please stay for the postlude, and then as your final act of worship, turn and greet your neighbor.